Welcome to the nightmare future where a virus is spreading rapidly, infecting tens of thousands of people with hundreds dead. And in response, the authoritarian government of China not only arrests the whistleblowers who are telling us the truth, but deploys giant drones to spray the city with unknown chemicals. We've done it, everybody. We have entered the sci-fi future, and boy, am I excited. I can't wait till the United States deploys giant drones to police the streets and make sure, I don't know, chemicals, drugs, crime, whatever it may be. I look forward to the giant Skynet Terminators policing our streets to keep us safe while we cower in our residences, terrified that a virus will eventually wipe us out, or whatever boogeyman they decide to put forth. But no, actually, yeah, the story is true. Coronavirus drone army deployed to spray disinfectant across China cities. This is one of, I'm actually going to say, the coolest stories I've ever seen. Now, I know it's nightmarish and horrifying, but you got to admit, it's kind of cool, right? Look, life is boring. Many people jokingly say they wish for a zombie apocalypse because they're so exciting. We love it. Well, hey, we're getting techno-censorship nightmare dystopia with drones flying around spraying chemicals on us. That's cool, right? It's almost like being in a movie. At least life won't be boring when we all go up and smoke. China has deployed an army of drones to disperse disinfectant over villages and cities in the latest attempt to combat the spread of coronavirus. I also got to say, man, when you cross the threshold from arrest the whistleblowers into deploy the giant drone army, is it fair to say the coronavirus is a lot worse than they're telling us? This is a whole new level of, dear Lord, what is happening in China with tens of millions quarantined. And they're claiming it's only a 10 or so, tens of thousands, maybe 10, 20,000 infected. But they're quarantining tens of millions and deploying a drone army? It sounds like the apocalypse, man. They say at least 213 people have died from the killer disease since it was first contracted from a market in the city of Wuhan. Full stop. That's not confirmed. Star, do your research. The World Health Organization has since declared the outbreak a global emergency, with Brits trapped in the regions being evacuated on emergency flights. Every region across the country has reported cases of coronavirus, and China has now taken to using drones to prevent the spread. These are massive. Footage posted to social media in the coastal provinces of Jilin, Shandong, and Zhejiang shows drones hovering in the air as disinfectant liquid is sprayed from the underside. Yikes! What is this? This is nuts. Is that the only photo they have? So that's it. But there are other photos popping up and videos where you can see them spraying. Boy, is this creepy. They say one of the objects is seen being led along a street by its operator behind, also spraying the liquid onto the ground. Aw, man. I thought they were autonomous Skynet-like drones being commanded remotely. If there's people on the ground using remote control, that's just boring as watching Casey Neistat film a vlog. Sorry. I know. I'm kidding. But here's where it gets more serious. We can be funny all day and night, but check this out. The Trump administration just declared coronavirus a public health emergency in the United States. Something tells me they don't want us to panic, and it may be worse than it really is. The challenge right now is, as I stated the other night, it's better to overreact than underreact. A lot of people were concerned that there was an underreaction to SARS and MERS and these other flus, and so it got worse. And by overreacting to a simple coronavirus, we could actually prevent it. Tell people make it seem worse than it is so everyone overreacts, or overreact yourself, and you're more likely to prevent it, right? Makes sense? Let's read. BuzzFeed reports, a White House task force announced a nationwide public health emergency over the coronavirus outbreak Friday, triggering mandatory quarantines for U.S. citizens traveling from the epicenter of the disease in China's Hubei province. In a presidential proclamation, the task force also announced that President Trump would be barring foreign nationals from traveling from China from entering the U.S., relatives of U.S. citizens would be allowed entry. The orders will take effect on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It really is intended to stop the spread of this virus, CDC Director Robert Redfield said at a White House briefing on the Now announcement. He added that the current risk of the virus for people in the U.S. is low. I actually interviewed someone from the CDC a while ago about, I think it was Zika. And they have this really cool thing at the CDC. It's this giant screen with a picture of a satellite map of the Earth, and they show virus outbreaks. Dude, it seriously looks like, high definition Plague Inc. Have you ever played that game? It was cool because they would highlight a country and it would show us all of the diseases they've tracked there. It actually was pretty amazing. So I got to say, I got some good confidence in the CDC. I can't speak for China, especially with this story. China is begging Europe for help. Premier Li Keqiang, sorry, I can't pronounce it, asks EU for medicine supplies to battle coronavirus outbreak. Now that's freaking me out, man. The World Health Organization says emergency. They've deployed the drones and they're asking for foreign aid. Look, man, China is no, tiny, weak country. China is arguably a global superpower with a massive economy, lots of resources, and they're asking Europe for help. The Daily Mail reports China's premier, Li Keqiang, has asked the European Union for medical supplies to help battle the coronavirus outbreak. It comes as the number of deaths from coronavirus epidemic in China rose to 259. As the United States and other nations announced new border curbs on foreigners who have been in China. Li spoke to the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, on the phone, a statement said. You ever play Plague Inc., that mobile game? It's good fun. But this is kind of how things go. The infection starts spreading, and then borders start getting shut down and travel starts getting restricted. One of the jokes going around is that whoever's playing the game better get to Greenland before they close their seaport. They say it was revealed that he's hoping to buy the medical supplies from EU member countries through commercial channels. And we are willing to strengthen information, policy, and technical exchanges and to cooperate with international communities, including the EU, Li said, according to the statement. The central province of Hubei, the center of the epidemic, is under a virtual quarantine with roads sealed off and public transport shut down. Elsewhere in China, authorities have placed restrictions on travel and business activity in a bid to contain the spread of the virus. In its latest figures, China's National Health Commission said there were 2,102 new confirmed infections in China on Friday, bringing the cumulative total to 11,791. Important fact, the rate is actually decreasing. So the initial transmission, as reported, assuming they're telling the truth, and they probably aren't, was like 60-something%. The next day it was like 40-something%, then 30. It's going down. It seems like these measures are working to curb the spread of the virus. And for the most part, if you are my average viewer, a male between the ages of 18 and 54, you are probably fine. Even if you do get it, you'll get sick. It'll be bad. Now, there are some concerns about permanent damage to lungs. So, we'll see what happens. But I think, humanity has evolved enough technologically to stop something like this. Fingers crossed. But don't bet on somebody else. Expect the worst, hope for the best, and always prepare. Amid growing international concern, Singapore and the United States announced measures on Friday to restrict entry to foreign nationals who have recently been in China. Australia followed suit, with Prime Minister Scott Morrison saying the country will deny entry to all foreign nationals traveling from mainland China from Saturday. Quote, "We're in fact operating with an abundance of caution in these circumstances," Morrison told reporters in Sydney, "so Australians can go about their daily lives with confidence. However, the World Health Organization, which this week declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern, reiterated global trade and travel restrictions were not needed. We would want countries to focus on the mitigation efforts of identifying the possible importation of cases and responding to any domestic outbreak," China WHO Representative Gaudenn Galea said today. Qantas Airways Ltd and Air New Zealand said international travel bans had forced them to suspend their direct flights to China from February 9th. All three major U.S. airlines said on Friday they would cancel flights to mainland China. Nearly 10,000 flights have been suspended since the outbreak of the new coronavirus, according to travel and data analytics firm Cirium, illustrating concerns about a slowdown in economic activity in China and elsewhere. And I will mention as well, it's not just about flying to China, it's about connecting in China to fly to other areas, right? So when I flew to Thailand, we stopped in Hong Kong. That's not technically mainland China. They might consider it because it is a land barrier. As my understanding, it's like right there. So there are probably a lot of flights that will stop in an airport somewhere traveling to, say, Thailand or Vietnam. This is going to impact everybody. And so this is why we've seen people in, the market has kind of panicked. People have started selling off. We'll see what happens. They are talking about doing special charter flights. So I think you get the point. Now, as I stated previously in the last segment, I try to keep these videos short. So I'm going to conclude this story. They say, although the WHO has praised China's efforts to contain the virus, the U.S.-based China human rights defenders urged Beijing to ease restrictions on movement and counter discrimination against residents of Wuhan and Hubei. Human rights must not be a casualty of the government's work to contain the coronavirus outbreak that has killed nearly 200 people and affected millions, the group said. I'm less concerned, to be honest, about the virus coming where I live. I'm more concerned about the various resources and products through international trade that are going to either become more scarce, more expensive, or potentially even cease for a while because of all of these restrictions. So that being said, welcome to the nightmare dystopia of giant drones flying around spraying chemicals on people. I hope it's been fun. The next segment will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Podcast every day at 6:30 p.m. And I will see you all then.